the night, she cries at night. She calls me on the phone. Says baby's everywhere she goes, and she wants one little home. She's waiting long enough, she said, still you can't decide. Pretty soon she'll have to choose the tears of the inside. 'Cause she's scared to run out of time. See my folks get it on, and I watch the bodies change. I know they see the same in me, and at least as both feel strange. No matter how you tell yourself, it's what we all go through. Those lines are pretty hard to take when they're staring back at you. Oh, baby, scared to run out of time. The choices get so hard, so much more at stake. Life gets mighty precious when there's less of it to waste. Oh, baby, scared to run out of time. Just when I thought I had enough, and all my tears were shed, no promise left unbroken. The music does have to stop at some time. I hope you enjoyed that little Bonnie Ray music introduction there as you get settled in your seats. I'm going to start maybe doing a little music introduction to share some of the music that I love, and I know you all probably love. I love the classic rock, 77s baby. So anyways, thank you for being here tonight. It is March 3rd, 2026, Dragonfly Discussions YouTube podcast, which today I made some huge progress, and I uploaded so far about 20 or so of my previous episodes on here. I have learned to convert them into audio only, so from an MP4 to an MP3, because Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, that's all they accept are audios. YouTube is one of the rare ones that does videos and audios. So if I want to expand, I am trying to get on other platforms. So if you want to check out Apple and Spotify and look up Dragonfly Discussions, I would love the feedback to see if it's working. Like I said, I uploaded a lot today. It was pretty amazing because I have recorded since 2024. I have recorded almost 50 episodes. So that's a lot to undertake if you weren't doing it from the get-go. But you live and learn, and that's what life is all about, is learning through our experiences, right? So I'm going to read the comments in the comment section. You're welcome to drop a note if you can. So far, nobody really is dropping notes. I don't know if that's because they can't or because they don't want to, which is fine either way. I know some of you are on TV, which Rhonda, hello Rhonda, watches from TV and can't make comments. So whatever the case may be, welcome to my podcast, Dragonfly Discussions. You're welcome to enter your name and location, especially your location. And use your first name. You don't have to use your last name. Like, that's fine. Or you could use whatever name you want. But location is really cool. I want to know where people are coming from watching me. Like, across the state, across the country, from the world, globally. Like, I want to know. I love it. Because I'm a big traveler and I love exploring as much as I can out in the outdoors. So enter your name and location you are from. I am thrilled you are listening. I hope you enjoy this session together. Safe space parameter. I always do a safe space kind of parameter just to make this space safe for you as much as I can. So the safe space reminder, please use your own safe space parameters amongst the chapters I read, which may arouse emotions or memories of your own. You are welcome to excuse yourself or stay. And I mean that with all respect. I'm not here to babysit you. I'm just going to continue on my podcast, and you have to make the deciding choice for yourself as to what you're comfortable with and what you're not. That's not my job. So we are in chapter 7, which is the last chapter of my book, Dragonflies and Demons. And you can find it on YouTube. You can Google it. You could search for your own platform that you prefer to buy, audio, paperback, hardcover, or ebook. So we last left off where I'm trying to help my friend leave a horrible relationship. She's all the way in Chicago, Illinois with this guy. And so she has to secretly get out without making it obvious that she's leaving him. So she couldn't really pack. She couldn't really, sound the alarm. We had to keep it undercover, right? So she has family in Fresno, California, where I'm at. So she wanted to come back home. So I helped her. Do it. I made it happen. In 1 week, I went all the way to Illinois and back and brought her and her 2 cats back. And so this is now the journey of where we're at in that moment of my life. So at the end of, so we're on page 244, chapter 7. What's the subchapter? Subchapter is way back, but it's 244. 244 at the top of the page where it says paragraph yet again. So yet again, I woke up to the sight of a beautiful sunrise while Jennifer was still asleep. That's my friend's name, Jennifer. I thanked God for keeping us safe. So now we're on the way back. Okay, so we've already picked her up, and now we're on the way back. And Jennifer didn't get up as early as I did. Not a lot of people get up as early as I do, but I get up like at the crack of dawn, and I love it. I love it. I spring out of bed. I love it. So she was still asleep, and I was able to get out and just look outside to the serene atmosphere, because on the way up there, it was magical going through all these states. So I thank God for keeping us safe throughout our journey till then, and for the opportunity to travel and see the states as well. I was so happy to be in a position to help my dear friend. Soon enough, Jennifer woke up and we got ready for another long day ahead on the road. We got in the car and set off towards Utah. So now we must be in Nebraska, because my 2 stops along the way from California to Illinois, you had to stay 2 nights. I mean, unless somebody's driving back to back, but that's just not my style. So I planned a hotel stay in Utah and a hotel stay in Nebraska. And then on the way back, so Nebraska, Utah. So I used the same hotel. I told them what I was doing, and I told them I needed these 2 rooms, the same room or whatever. I think it was the same room, actually. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was dope. So, you plan ahead and you could do it right. So it was a long drive, but Jennifer and I made the best of it. We talked, cried, sang, and had quiet moments too. So yeah, Jennifer went through a lot of emotions. I mean, you're talking leaving your guy, your relationship. She was with Jeff 4 years, 5 years, 4 years. It was a long-term relationship, and she was miserable, and her cats were miserable. Like, they were all having health issues because they were living in cockroach infested places in Chicago, which is, there's skyrise. She was in like a 3-level place, and it's horrible to control stuff within the walls of those kind of places. Like, it's easier when you're on one level and you can kill them from the ground because they're coming from the ground. Well, they're coming from other units. But she was in a horrible place, and he was just not paying attention to her. He was putting her down. He was not respecting her boundaries. And so I was like, well, let's get you out then. And she was ready. I didn't convince her. She was ready. But she went through so much on this drive. I was thoroughly exhausted, and after unpacking her things and getting the cats comfortable, I basically passed out. So now we're in Utah. So we're just close to California. So this is our second hotel stay. And like I said, we're traveling with the cats. We got to get them comfortable. Where am I at? I'm sorry. I'm like repeating. I'm reminiscing too much. So Jennifer's still asleep. I wake up early next morning. I stepped outside and was welcomed to the beauty of what surrounded me. The plateaus of Utah captivated me so much, to the degree that I just wanted to hike all the way to the highest peak. Like, it seemed like it was just like right there. Like, they were so gigantic. And I'm like, I just walk like right over there. I'm going to be up there. And it was just magical. Like, just Utah is gorgeous. It's dry. Some people can think it's boring, but it's not green. It's all tans and browns and reds, and oranges, cacti filled the territory, and the air was dry as a bone. So yeah, it was interesting going through these different states, right? So Utah had these really interesting cactus that's not like Nevada cactus. Utah cactus had like these, they were like bony, and the spines on the branches were like really bad, like deadly, like spines. Like, they weren't like a bushy core and then little spines. They were like a small core and big spines. I took a deep breath and filled my lungs with the clean, crisp air. I breathed out and felt tranquility cover over me. I was ready to take the last leap and make it home. I missed my cats dearly, and of course, I missed sleeping in my own bed. Yeah, that was the longest I had ever traveled away from home. And being that far away and like trying to make it back home is just such a mental thing all in itself. And it was beautiful going through all the states, but I was like so ready to get back home in my bed with my kitty cats. Because I hate being away from home, and I hate being away from my kitty cats, but I do it because it's healthy. You can't just stay a hermit in your home. You're going to miss so much opportunity. So I fight through that kind of anxiety, and I have cameras in my apartment so I could check on my cats and I can talk to my cats and I can say hello. And so it just eases a little bit of my anxiety when I'm away from home. You could get it through Ring. You could buy 2 cameras, one for the outside, one for the inside, and you could watch your animals or people inside your home. You could set it to where your main view is, and you can buy multiple cameras. So I just love talking to my cats when I'm away. It really, really helps my anxiety. So I went inside and woke Jennifer up. She got herself ready, and we were on the road again. With the cats all comfortable, we made our last stretch across the United States into California. Our home now was in sight. Oh my God. As we approached California, Jennifer had another breakdown. So she's still, again, so she's got her highs of, woo, I did this, to her lows of what the fuck did I just do? And how could I have done that? And what am I entering into? And all of this, right? All of this that goes on, which is totally normal when you're making a huge decision. Not only was she making a decision to leave her boyfriend of a long time, she was going back to California. She was going back to California where her family was, I forget what religion, Protestant? No, I can't. Lutheran, I don't know. They weren't Christian, Catholic. They were a different denomination, but her family lived up in Sacramento, California, and so her family was willing to help her get back here. So they paid for a lot of the stuff that she needed to be able to afford. But her family wanted her home, and her mom was her health wasn't doing well. So it was important to get back home, to be with her mom and her last time, kind of like my dad and my last time to be with him was to come back home. So I was so happy to help her. It was such an amazing trip. I took signs of every state that we crossed into: Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, Nebraska, I forget. And then, of course, it's Illinois, but I'm forgetting. There's 7 states. Okay. So finally, we reached California and hit Highway 99. We were just 3 hours away and so close to home. So when you're coming in off of whatever highway it is, off of Nevada into California, you're way north. You're just above the Bakersfield area on the 99. So I know Bakersfield from Fresno is about an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours. So we were probably about 3 hours out. Yeah. So yeah, that's right. Because it's about that far extended north. And then when you see the California, it says welcome. No, not California. It says Fresno. It says welcome to Fresno. And you're like, we're close. So new energy filled the car as Jennifer and I began to sing and praise God together. When the welcome to Fresno sign on the highway greeted us, we became overwhelmed with excitement. We were both overjoyed that we had made it at last. It was an incredible journey that took a total of 5 days to complete. Jennifer and I, along with her 2 cats, had traveled together and made it home safely. When we got home, we entered her new apartment and hugged each other. She didn't have much. All that stuff was going to come later through my family and through a lot of her family arrangements, because we had planned this. Like I said, we had planned this for months. So we had the apartment ready. We had the first deposit, first month's rent, second month's rent paid by her family. We had furniture coming in by my mom because of a company she owned at the time that staged empty houses. So she had a bunch of furniture. And then just together, we helped her have a kitchen table and a couch and a bed and a little dresser and just little things to start off, right? So Jennifer was about to start. So when we got home, I wasn't going to stay in her apartment. She was just across the way. I could see her apartment. It was amazing how close our apartments were. I got her an apartment in the same complex that I lived in, and her apartment was just in eyeball. So we were not far. So I dropped her off. I let her decompose and not decompose, decompress everything. And then I needed to come home and be with my cats and be in my bed. So we were just an arm's distance away. Jennifer was about to start a new chapter of her life. We looked around, tried to figure out where to put all of her things. We unloaded her cats and got them comfortable while we unpacked my car. It didn't take too long to unpack my car because I didn't bring hardly anything because I needed to spare the room for her in my car. So I think I wore the same clothes. I had different underwear, but I was very, very, very minimal because I knew I was staying in a hotel. So I could wear the same clothes. You know, I can rough it. It's not a big deal. Let's see. It didn't take long to unpack my car. She didn't have a lot of furniture, mainly boxes and bags of belongings. So it really wasn't that much. It was just my car full of stuff. Then I went over to my apartment, which was just across the yard, like I was saying, to check up on my cats and unpack my own things. It was late in the evening and Jennifer didn't have any furniture yet. So she had to sleep at my place for the night. Oh, that's right. She did. She stayed at my place for the night. Which I probably was like, I just want to be away from you. I've been with you for so long. No, it was okay. She called her family to let them know that she was home, and we both fell into a deep sleep. The next day, and I only live in a studio. Granted, she's moving into a 1-bedroom. We got her into a 1-bedroom. I live in a tiny ass studio where you walk into my apartment and literally it's your living room and bedroom all in one. And then you got a little bathroom off to the right, and then you got your kitchen also to the right, but it's a pretty good kitchen, and you got 2 windows. So it is not meant for much more than 2 people. And for me, 2 people is cramping my style in a studio. It's in a studio, though. The next day, my stepmother, whenever I say mother, I have 2 types of mothers. I have a stepmother that my dad married when I was 5. And then I have my birth mother who I called Debbie. So I've always done birth mother, Debbie, but I'm now using stepmother because she's no longer in my life. And I need to make sure that we clarify birth mother, Debbie, and stepmother, Linda. So this was my stepmother who was still in my life all the way from 5 till I wrote this book. Yes, you caught that. Till I wrote this book. So the next day, my stepmother graciously offered to take Jennifer and me to some stores so she could get a bed and a few other things that she would need. Like literally, my stepmother had so much freaking money, and she still does. She's loaded. But she earned it by her job, and she's freaking loaded. She took Jennifer to like a mattress place and let her pick out a mattress and got her some dressers and like totally helped furnish. And then in her own storage, because my stepmother's moved a bunch of times, and then she's also doing the staging company for real estate agents. So she had a ton of furniture that she didn't mind disposing of. So my stepmom literally loaded her up. My stepmother has always been amazing like that and surprises me beyond my expectations. She really, I mean, I will say the same about myself. I am really, really loving and giving, but I can be mean and cold. So I think there's the 50-50 in all of us. And she was really, really gracious. And I'm sure she still is. But she's not to me. She's not to me. So I don't want to confuse anything here. With the help of my stepmother, we made Jennifer's new place into a home. She gradually settled in and began the new chapter of her life. So now she's beginning her life, leaving her ex-boyfriend, and she's going to have to find a job, and she's going to have to figure out a whole bunch of things about now transferring her medication and transferring her health care and transferring everything, and then paying back, her family, because, she needs to pay rent. She's not going to live for free at this place. And, she needs to now stand on her own 2 feet. And she worked in Chicago. She had jobs. She had good paying jobs, and she was very, very stable. But once this guy came into her life, like literally Jen changed, and it wasn't healthy. And that's why we all encouraged her to leave him and start fresh. So here we are on page 246, The Thing About Love. Ooh, that's a good subtitle. During all that, I had applied to various big companies for full-time positions. I was determined to find a full-time career, UPS or not. So I had been working at UPS for the past 7 years of my life. From 2011 to 2018, I was part-time human resources covering Fresno, Visalia, and Bakersfield. And if you know that entire radius, that's like a 300 to 500 mile radius, going all the way to Modesto and way up in the mountains behind Bakersfield and then into the hills of Fresno and Visalia, and then into the country, like almost halfway to the ocean. Like, it's a huge territory at part-time, and I couldn't get full-time. So I had applied to the IRS and Amazon. Amazon called me around late September, and offered me a driver position. So now, like, think of it, I'm at UPS, right? And I know all about driver positions. So it's just the same thing that I used to hire people for. So instead of hiring part-time loaders or whatever, I never really hired drivers off the street too much, except for the feeder department during seasonal. But imagine just applying for a driver position at Amazon. You could apply for driver positions at Amazon. It was incredible opportunity. And then IRS too. I had a great, what is it called? An SR10. So that's like a report that's given when you work for huge companies. Maybe it's not an SR10. That's probably what I got from the IRS. But anyways, leaving UPS was a huge gamble, because most people just stay within the company because it's a safe place to work. Like, they rarely fire. And you could be shitty on both sides, management and union. And it's like, if you're good, you're locked in, man. It's just incredible. It's incredible what I saw. And I know my watcher here, Rhonda, can probably attest to. It's insane there. So I was reaching out to Amazon. I was applying at Amazon. I was applying at the IRS. Amazon called me around late September and offered me a driver position. In October, I decided to quit my 7-year part-time career at UPS for a full-time position at Amazon. And I was making probably 1750. I was probably making $17.50 at that time. And this is 2018. And Amazon was offering me like $22 an hour as a driver. So that was like a huge jump, right? And full time. So, like, you can understand my wanting to make more money and the opportunity. And this was the first Amazon plant that came into Fresno. So this was like big time hiring opportunity to be the first of it coming in. And now there's like tons of Amazons around here. Amazon big big factories, like, and drivers. So then there's flex drivers, which UPS is someone incorporated to copy Amazon and compete. So I quit my 7-year career and was now in Amazon. I accepted their full-time position as one of their drivers. So here I am. And this is crazy to even do as a driver. I mean, as a person who was, I'm pretty fit and able, but my bones are not going to last for another 20 years as a driver. And I'm already, I think I was at, this was 2011, no, 2018. So I'm already into my 40s, late 30s at least late 30s, or I can't do the math, forgive me. But driver positions are hard on those drivers. The knees, the back, just the long hours, the visual, trying to find things, the stress. It's really hard. And those big vehicles and trying to drive them and navigate them and not wreck into something or, have an accident. Yeah. So Amazon had built a new shipping facility and they started hiring, like I said. I had applied. I was thrilled at the opportunity. With my experience at UPS, I knew it was going to be hard. So that was what I was saying, like my experience of knowing drivers and their lifestyle and their health problems was going to be hard. I worked hard and delivered packages all across the Central Valley over Christmas season. In 2019, so I only lasted a year until the IRS hired me. But dude, I had gained such a freaking respect for even more what the drivers go through as any delivery person. Rain or shine, you could step out of that car or that truck or car, because there's flex drivers out of their own cars, but you could step out into a puddle and then your whole foot is soaked. And then you can't see because it's raining so hard and you can't freaking find the address and see the freaking address because not everybody has their addresses all glowing and bright and big and obvious. And then if you want to go into the country, there's no city lights. There's no anything. It's just trusting on GPS and just following that little grid and just and there might be a house way down there. So it is hella hard. You're getting in and out of that truck. Like if you have I had like 100+ stops some days. So that means I'm getting out of the van at least 200. Well, whatever. And then all the weight I'm carrying for the packages, all the exercise to go up to the door or the apartments, and apartments were the worst. So, there's a lot. I learned, it's big bucks for a reason. And UPS pays those guys big bucks. And Amazon doesn't, no, Amazon does not. I don't think they pay as much as UPS. UPS is almost like $50 an hour now. Okay, so I weighed my decisions and chose to go with the IRS. Yeah, the IRS was all just a data transcriber. All I was doing was processing tax returns into the system and making sure that people's tax returns were processed. So you want your tax return filed pretty quickly. Well, I was one of those speedy tax return people that, got it done pretty quickly. And all I had to do was just meet different line items and you know what to hit. And you just the computer is very spot on. So it was fun processing people's tax returns. It was really, really interesting. People would write letters in their tax returns. We processed inmate tax returns because they got some kind of benefit before they got arrested, and they still were able to get it. It was crazy. Delivering for Amazon was a wonderful and independent kind of career. However, it was physically demanding and my knees were starting to ache already. With a back surgery already under my belt, so I had shared in prior chapters that I'd gone through back surgery. I had my L5S1 removed, so I'm not looking to have another back surgery, right? I didn't want to undergo another surgery. Therefore, the IRS called it the perfect time. I quit Amazon and worked full-time at the IRS instead. By the end of 2018, I had opened myself up to dating again. Oh my gosh. This guy was the last guy. By the end of 2018, I opened myself to dating again and met a man online. Online. No. No. Number one. No. Do not meet online. And do not let that be your start. Nope. Named Mike. And I'm sorry, Mikes, but this was the third bad Mike, and I won't ever again. Won't ever again with a Mike. We began talking to each other on the phone at first for a few weeks. We slowly progressed to meeting each other, and our first date was at Dave & Buster's, which is an adult playground with a restaurant and bar. We had a blast together, and he was a total gentleman. Like, yeah, he was a gentleman, you know. We had fun. We played some adult games, like not adult games, but like it was like a playground where you could play all the kid games, but just no kids around. So you could be like an adult kid again. And it was fun. Dave & Buster's is pretty fun. He was a country boy, and a little younger than me. Won't go younger ever again. Nope. This is the second youngest. Nope. Nope. I don't have children for a reason. He shared that he had a daughter and that he couldn't see her due to a bitter custody battle between his ex-girlfriend. Oh, the drama I'm getting myself into. He never married her, but was caught up in an ugly battle. We became an official couple eventually, and I fell for him hard. I don't even know why I fell for him, but in the beginning, I was just, but it quickly faded. Mike was a very fun and joyous person to be around. We even liked the same music, and he appreciated cats, which you got to be a cat lover in my book, because I'm not a dog person. I love dogs, don't get me wrong. I love them, but not in my life, not in my house, not in my bed, not my car. No. Cats? Oh, yeah. Cats all day long. In my bed, in my clothes, on my couch, in my car, in my shower if they want to. Like, cats I love. So you got to be a cat man, right? So he was a cat man. He had dogs and cats. So I was like, okay, I'll deal with the dog part and the child part, because I really never wanted to have a child, and I didn't want to really be that other mom to a child's life. I just don't have it in me, and that's okay. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I don't have the patience. I don't have the time. I am not interested. That would take too much money and time that I don't have. So lovingly, I would not want that, but I was compromising huge here with this guy. Compromising huge. And that is also a big lesson that I learned with this last boyfriend, was that I compromised way too much. I don't even know what the hell I was doing. Anyways, you're going to hear more about it all. We even liked the same music, and he appreciated cats, which was important to me. He lived on his own in the countryside in a vast space of desert grasslands and rolling brown hills. Like, he lived way on the outskirts of kind of Madera off of Highway 41 North. You take this cut through the hills and then you find his land, and he's got a trailer park house, but he's got like a mobile home and a boat and a couple cars. And so anyways, and a job. And so whatever. La 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 la. He had a stable job and seemed to be of good character. He lived on his own in the countryside. Okay. A deer or quail could often be seen strolling around the grounds. Like, I really loved being out there on his property. His property was so beautiful out in the wilderness, and like you could see birds and squirrels and like deer and rabbits and like all kinds of things, flowers, like unique flowers, poppies, and views. Like, it was just beautiful out there. On New Year's Eve in 2018, in a beautiful South Lake Tahoe cabin, however, all hell broke loose as Mike had a breakdown. So Mike would often have breakdowns. He would get drunk a lot, and he would have breakdowns about missing his daughter and going into this downward spiral that I'd have to pick him up out of. He had gotten so drunk that he became emotional and fell apart, losing his grip on reality. He confessed to me how much he still loved his ex-girlfriend and terribly missed his daughter. Of course, the knowledge crushed me as I continued to hold Mike and told him how sorry I was that he couldn't see his daughter. Prior to meeting Mike, he and his ex-girlfriend, over 10 years, who had a daughter together with, got in a huge fight. Mike had attempted to kidnap and hurt his daughter in the process. So these are the charges, and then he has his side of the story, right? So, of course, I don't want to believe the horrible thing, and which probably was true. Thus, he was arrested, and a restraining order was placed on Mike. He proceeded to lose all custody and visiting rights to his daughter. On New Year's Day, the next day, Mike apologized to me, and we were able to talk things through. A little while later, in January 2019, I was hired by the IRS for tax season. I knew Mike was dealing with a lot of emotional issues, especially with losing his daughter, but he was always struggling financially. Like, not only was this guy really depressed over his own crap that he did, like, I would tell him, Mike, if you pushed her out and you did that to your daughter, you're gonna get this kind of punishment. And he just would refuse to see it and accept responsibility and, get over the fact that, if you just do what you're supposed to do, you're going to see your daughter eventually. Like, I know it's hard, but like, he just was off the hook. He just was off the hook. And here I am. And then he would drink a lot, and then he would bail on work, which you could walk to his job in the country. He was a iron gate person. He would weld. He was a welder. So he would weld gates and make these beautiful wrought iron gates. And, they would sell these gates to like your tract homes that have like 100 homes being built at the one time. So now you got a big old $1 million deal to make all these wrought iron fences on all these rich people's homes, for their driveways and stuff, like a wrought iron gate, right? That swings open like an automatic wrought iron gate. He would fabricate that whole wrought iron and weld it and mold it and make it into the beautiful designs, and then paint it, spray paint it, and do all the latches and the hooks and all the stuff that goes into that automated system. So he was quite talented, but he would just waste himself all day long. It was just so awful. It became awful. Let's see. Where was I? Okay, so he was struggling financially. The situation with his ex and his custody battle piled up. Mike was put in a position to have to pay child support as well as probation fees. So, yeah, he's in a lot of trouble. He's paying probation fees, because that's what you do. You have to pay probation fees. Instead of, you could serve your time in jail, I guess, and not have to pay. But, there is probation fees. I remember when I was on probation, I had fees to pay it was for the testing, it was for their time, it was for their, I don't know, I can't remember. It was so long ago, 20 years. So let's see. So Mike was put on probation to pay child support, right? So the mom's tacking his wages and saying you need to pay child support, which rightfully so. The child needs to be sorted by both parents. It's not easy feeding a kid these days. This was in addition to all his usual bills such as rent, utilities, etc., which the guy was living there on this man's property in that trailer home for very cheap. With his stress rising to overwhelming levels, Mike began to drink more and more. He would drink in the shower. There'd be like beer bottles lined up on the top of the shower. And I'm like, and I'd go in there to shower after. I'm like, what? Okay. So he would drink in the shower, before work, at lunch, after work, and continue until he passed out. So being that he worked only kind of like in walking distance from the mountain, from his house down to the shop, he could just walk if he wanted, or just drive, which most of the time he drove his big old truck to his house, and then he'd pound a couple beers. Sometimes he told me he would bring beers to work. So over the weekends, we usually had a wonderful time together. That was until drinking started anew, and he would change in a matter of seconds. So he'd be drinking, and sure enough, it would catch up to him, and then holy cow. Over the course of the next 8 months, I had to endure countless fights and sleepless nights of heartache. He would make a fool out of me over and over on Facebook by talking to other girls while I was with him. It wasn't until much later that I found evidence of his infidelity on his phone. Finally, in June 2019, I left Mike once and for all. Yep, I went into his phone. And girls, if you have the suspicion, do it. Because I had the perfect opportunity. This guy was laid up in the hospital because of his alcohol. He poisoned himself again. And he was in the hospital. And I knew how to get into his phone. And so I'm looking. And I'm like, I'm going to look, dude, and see how bad this really is. Because I knew it was bad. And it was so bad. And so I deleted a bunch of them. And like, he knew he was caught. He knew he was caught. And so we leave the hospital, and I take him home, and I told him, I said, this is over. We are done. I am not putting up with this bullshit anymore. So here we are, page 248, picking up the pieces. It broke my heart to leave Mike and be single again. It didn't really break my heart. It was just sad that I had given it my all once again. And I had told myself this last time, because I really didn't want to date again, but I was given it another chance. And when I met Mike, I'm like, okay, but after getting burned like that, I was like, good riddance. Like, I'm standing up for myself. I deserve more than that. I deserve better than that. Like, how dare you put me through all this shit? Like, I paid for most of our vacations. Like, I paid for so much shit. I bailed him out of jail. Like, oh, God, the guy. So it did break my heart in a way, because I'm 110% kind of girlfriend. I will give 110% into something. I'll give 110% into anything that I do, anything that I believe in, anything that I do. You see my past, it has been 110%. And relationships take so much, so much. And so it really hurt. And I've been single ever since, because I knew it was the last time that my heart could probably romantically feel like that again. And I've been invited to have relationships with people, but I just don't want to. I am very, very happy being single. And there's nothing wrong with that. I am very happy being single. So I had loved Mike very much and gave more than 100% of myself into the relationship, only to get burned again. Even so, I wasn't going to stay in an unhealthy relationship despite my fears, right? So we all have fears of, oh my gosh, we're going to be alone again. And what am I going to do without somebody loving me and holding me and, being there? And, what am I going to do? That person hurt me so much. And, just thinking that person made you who you are, and that without that person, you're nothing. And it's such lies, such lies. You, we, us, we are strong individuals, male or female, no matter what the heartache is, or bisexual, trans, binary, whatever your sex gender may be. The heartbreak still hurts, no matter what it is. And some of us choose to be single for the rest of our lives. Some of us choose to go back into a relationship again. Some of us keep yo-yoing. I don't know. But for me, I just am doing me. I'm married to me now. I'm in a relationship with myself, actually. I don't know what that's called. They call it something. I'm sure there's something for something. There's something for everything. Okay. Even so, I wasn't going to be in a healthy relationship. There was a famous quote that my father would always share with me, which rang in my head at the moment. So here's my dad's teaching, my good old dad, who passed away way too early, a year after I came home from rehab in 2007. So he's been gone a long time, and it was very unexpected. So he would share with me the Shakespeare quote, "To thine own self be true." So that kept ringing back in my head, "To thine own self be true." And it still does. It still does. My dad is still reminding me, Cheyenne, be to thine own self be true, meaning not compromise. Stick to your gut. It's okay to say no. It's okay to be in that uncomfortable space of singleness and rediscovery. It's okay. But as long as you stay true to yourself, you'll get through it. You will get through it. It means to never settle, to always be honest with oneself, and to love oneself against all adversity. Isn't that crazy? I last year won an award for overcoming adversity, and this was written 2019. It's crazy. I mean, I won the award for a reason, but I didn't realize I spoke it or wrote it like that. Against all adversity. So let me repeat that. To thine own self be true. It means to never settle, to always be honest with oneself, and to love oneself against all adversity. I knew I was better off without Mike. The relationship had been a downward spiral ultimately, and that wasn't healthy for me. He didn't love me like I deserved to be loved, and I would rather be single than continue to be miserable in a relationship. And that is so freaking true. Like, you could be miserable in a relationship and you could be miserable on your own, but I would rather be miserable on my own than in the company of somebody else's misery that's just bringing me down, and like it's just more weight than you need to carry. And so I would just rather do it alone and not deal with their crap. I Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Mike didn't let me go easily, though, and I had to fight for him afterwards just to get the money he owed me, over $2,000 for helping him with tax and automobile issues. So, like I said, this guy's financial issues were deep. Like, he had all this child support issues, tax issues, automobile issues, and at the time I had like a lot of money I was living on inheritance wise from my dad passing away. So I used it to help him. And so when we broke up, I took him to court to get my money back because the asshole wasn't going to be in good faith to pay me back. Um, he did finally pay me. He did finally pay me because he didn't want to go to court. So he actually settled, paid me a check. I got it on the road in the back country of where he lived, and I recorded it and had witness with me. Jennifer was with me at the time in the car, and I rolled right up and I gave him this signed signature statement saying he's paid me in full, and I grabbed that check and I pulled off away, man. Bye. Bye. I think you can find that episode somewhere on YouTube. I think it's out there because I put it out there. I put it out there. It's a pretty freaking funny video. If you can find, I forget what the title is. I forget what the title is. I think if you search my name, Cheyenne Jenvey, it'll pull up. If you keep searching YouTube videos, it'll pull up. It's freaking funny. I'm not ashamed. Where are we? Oh my gosh, it's 7:56. Hello. Wow. Okay. So let me just finish this paragraph and then we'll end. Okay. So he did finally pay me and I was able to move on and heal. I constantly cried for what seemed like a month until I was finally able to breathe and have hope again. That's funny, a month, because it usually takes me about a month to get over something pretty heart hurting. Tax season was especially hard that year with what I had to endure with Mike. However, I managed a successful returning score, which meant that I had a good chance of being called again in 2020. So we're all the way in 2020 now. The season finally ended at the IRS, and so I filed for unemployment. So that's what you could do because it was a seasonal job. You could file for unemployment, stay on unemployment for about 6 months. That was back in 2020. And then if you got rehired on, then it just married up and you worked and had an income by your job. My unemployment, let's see. So I feel, okay, it took till the end of September for me to finally feel happy and hopeful again after all the trauma I had received from my unemployment fund was quite large, though, which allowed me enough time to do as I pleased without needing a job right away. Therefore, I had a lot of time on my hands before having to go back to the IRS in 2020 for another tax season. So yeah, I pretty much lived on my IRS. So because if you work a long time, my UPS days at UPS, that was 7 years. So you build up like a pool of money and unemployment and all this funds. So I was able to, and that quarter, like, or whatever, supplied me a lot of stability. So you're going to now see what I did. It's funny. Called me again in 2020. So we're in the year of 2019. So we're in the year of 2019, 2020s. Yeah. Okay. So we're right around in that time, 2019, 2020. I might have jumped years there or whatever, but you're going to see that I start writing this book. I start putting this book together. I started it in 2015 when I was in back surgery. I had back surgery for about 3 months, and I opened up Pandora's box in 2015. But the memories and all the trauma and all the things I had gone through, I wasn't quite ready to deal with all of that. But I built a big enough spider web of ideas to just pick up where I had left off. And then I just needed to focus down, buckle in, and just deal with everything that I'm going to deal with. And I still deal with it as I read it with you. The emotions, the experience, the day of that event or that feeling or that person or that just that moment in time, you're reliving all of it. So you have to be really careful and you have to guard yourself. You have to make sure you're ready. But I encourage anyone to write. It is the most therapeutic thing in the world. It is still therapeutic to me. I wouldn't have done it if I didn't feel inspired by God, which I call my higher power. Nature is also my higher power. But yeah, so we're going to leave here on page 249 at the bottom. So today is 3-3. Yeah. And then we pick up again. We are every Tuesday, so we will be back here Tuesday at 7 p.m. on the 10th. Please check out Apple and Spotify and search for Dragonfly Discussions. Let me know if you find me, because like I said, I uploaded like almost 20 or so episodes today, going all the way back to 2024 when I first started podcasting. So it's been quite a journey. I've had some interviews. I'm going to start branching out and having interviews with people who are out of the state where I can invite them in and you'll see them on the screen. It'll be like a split screen and you'll see them and we'll be hearing them talk and hopefully we can get more engagement and just grow. That's the whole goal of all of this. Dragonfly Discussions isn't just about my book. After the book is done, I do have a little jar full of scriptures. They're little cards. And so what I plan to do is pull out a card randomly in the morning of Tuesday, have my own time to reflect on it, and then we're going to reflect on it. I'm not a disagreeer of the Bible. The Bible is a really great book of wisdom. The Bible has some really great stories and some really great lessons and some really great ways to behave and treat each other and act in love and justice. And, but it's not, I don't think it's anything to worship. Again, it was supposedly inspired by God, but it was written by man. So, and then the 4 Gospels, we got 4 different guys' perspective of the same story. So that shows you. And then astrology, oh my God, I just posted on my social media, if you want to follow me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, but I just posted how astrologically the 12 disciples are like the 12 signs in the horoscope. And then the 4 Gospels are like our 4 seasons, winter, spring, summer, fall. And then the zodiac of all of the 12 disciples and how Krishna was a god, I think Indian, if I'm not mistaken. And all these other gods had 12. So the numbers and numerology, so it's fascinating. But this is going to be just Cheyenne Dragonflies interpretation of these scriptures to give enlightenment, my own enlightenment discussion. But it's not saying that you have to believe my way. You're going to believe your way and maybe think about some other ways to look at scripture. So that's what's coming after we get finished with this book. But I'll see you next Tuesday. We are 3 minutes past. So have a great night. Thank you.